Hello, hi everybody. I want to talk to you about why it's so important for Black Americans, Black organizations, Black businesses, churches, community leaders, and families to register with www.blackoutnetwork.org. Um, this is about more than just joining another website. It's something. Some time ago, I posted a PDF. I called it a National Black Wall Street Founding Charter. And so many people did take a look at it. And I was hoping to get some input from it. And right now, with what Blackout Nation is doing, is the first step, in the plan. This dream is not new. Our ancestors, earlier generations, have repeatedly gathered national black conventions, assemblies, united fronts, and economic networks. So this isn't anything new. What we are trying to do is go through Blackout Network is carry that unfinished work into a digital age. Creating a permanent home where we can communicate, register our resources, coordinate organizations, support our businesses, and build the new Black Wall Streets across America. We are not starting history over again. So there are frameworks for this ideal. We are picking up the work and building the structure needed to sustain it. This is about building a national structure where we can find one another, communicate, organize, support our businesses, protect our interests, and work together on one accord. So it's about us coming together. For generations, our Black Americans had helped build organizations, political movements, institutions, and coalitions. But too often we eventually find that our particular concerns are pushed aside. It tends to disappear, and all the other outside concerns from other people. And this is what we need to do. This is important for us to come together so that our concerns won't get pushed aside. What we will find different in this blackoutnation.org was that we're creating a permanent online community. So it's the other ones were like conventions and stuff. So it wasn't something that was permanent. This would be permanent year round, something that you'll be able to go to and use as a reference, and we can come together as a group, not just occasional conventions. Also to a national assembly where independent Black organizations can have recognized representatives. So we're going to come together, and everybody's going to have their recognized representatives. It's going to be all across the country. This is what my hope is. I'm speaking life. The word says God will give you your heart's desires. I'm speaking my heart's desire, and my heart desire includes you. So this is for all of us. And then 3, a protected internal community space where members can talk, plan, and develop ideals outside public social media. 4, a national registry of households, businesses, organizations, skills, institutions, and local chapters. 5, this continue with what's different and from what the old programs had done, which was just one singular event that they had. 5 is a connected network of Black Wall Streets across the cities and states. 6, a uniform business verification standard and national economic measurement. 7, a written lineage-centered chapter designed to prevent mission dilution. So we're tired of that. We're tired of our mission always being diluted, and concentrated on someone else. So we want our mission to stay the same, regardless to what year it is and who's talking. Again, a written lineage-centered chapter designed to prevent mission dilution, donor takeover, political party control, or displacement of the founding population. And finally, 8, this is what's new that we're adding to it: a direct connection between community discussions in coordinated purchasing, investment, land ownership, employment, and institution building. So those are the 8 things that would be additional. That would be the new things. Like I said, there were already frameworks, but it wasn't something that was permanent that you can go through and that we can have our leaders and business owners and everyone a website that everyone can go to and be heard. This is why we must build something with a clean mission that cannot easily be taken over, redirected, or changed until the people that they can't be changed until the people it was created to serve no longer have a voice. So we don't want it to change. Just with a lot of things that we have right now, the mission get changed, and we, like even with the Congressional Black Caucus, it seems like we don't even have a voice in that anymore. So, and that's what we're building on doing. So, regardless to the time or whoever's heading it, the mission is the same, and our voices will be heard. We need okay. So, I got like 13 topics that I'm covering, so this is kind of long. So hopefully you got an ear to hear and you find this interesting, and you have a heart to do it. So, and that because we're going to need everyone to participate and to spread the word about it, so that we can create and continue to build on what our ancestors was attempting to build. Okay, 1, we need institutions that we can depend on. We should continue to vote, participate in politics, advocate, protest, and work with existing organizations. But we cannot depend entirely on institutions that are not controlled. We don't control a lot of these things. So this will be ours to control as a group. Black Americans need institutions that preserve our history, protect our mission, maintain our records, and remain accountable to our community. A lot of times, especially with politics, as your representative change, you find that a lot of times accountability isn't there, and that's a situation that we find ourselves in right now. We need something that belongs to the people and does not rise or fall based on one politician, one political party, one donor, one church, one organization, or one personality. I hope you guys didn't hear that telephone. I had to turn it off. So since it would be a group of us, this is our United Nation. It won't depend on someone could decide to leave, someone could pass away, or whatever the situation may be. But it's not going to depend. We're not going to have one point of failure. So, and that's the good part about this. Too often, if it's just one organization that's leading the fight, you have one point of failure. This way we have more, of a chance of everything staying the way that we desire it, the way that we decide we want things to work. Leaders will, leaders will change, political priorities will change, donors will come and go, but the mission remains the same. And that's the goal. Our leaders can change. We could vote someone in as our leader, and that'll change, and and political parties could change. That's not going to have anything to do with us, Democrat, Republican, Independent. This is our thing. So this is something that belongs to us. Even donors. They can decide they can help us with donations, or something may happen, but they no longer can donate. And but our mission will stay the same regardless to any of those things. 2. Blackout Nation is a common national table. This is our table. We always talk about a seat at the table. This is our table. Blackout Nation is not being created to replace every Black organization. It is being created to give Black organizations a common table. Think of it as something similar to the United Nations for Black Americans. This is what we're doing right now. This is our United Nations. Different organizations would still be able to keep their own name, their leaders, members, goals, programs, and identity. You know, we don't want to affect any of that, because all of that will be a plus to us. Okay, but you could register, connect, select representatives, bring community concerns forward, coordinate national efforts, and have a seat at a larger national table. And this is most definitely what we need. I find a lot of cases we're just being left out. You know, right now the Democratic Party, they act as if they don't need our vote. You know, so they're going to get their candidate in, and that candidate is going to get in and do what they want to do, regardless to what we do, to what we say. You know, but once we come together and create our Black United Nations, we'll have power, and they won't be able to ignore us like that anymore. Churches could have representatives. Business could have their representatives. Local Black Wall Street chapters could have their representative. Fraternities and sororities, civil rights organizations, professional groups, community organizations, educators, trade people, and neighborhood leaders could all connect through one national structure. And this is what we need. Like I said, this is becoming digital. We are completing the dreams of our ancestor. They're still here. They're still present with us. They haven't died. And like I said, we have the framework to work from. We're not reinventing the wheel. We just got to have the will to continue. We are not asking everyone to become the same. We are not building one place where we are building one place where we all can come together. So that's what we're doing. 3, why existing organizations are no longer enough by themselves. Many organizations that were historically created to focus on the conditions of Black America now operate under much broader missions. You know, as there's no telling what the mission may be now. You know, so it may be, the weather, and then the next thing you know is something else. So they're not concentrating on what the concerns of Black America all the time. Organizations such as the NAACP, the National Urban League, and the National Action Network, and other traditional civil rights institutions now speak for many different groups and causes. You know, so we're building something that speaks just for Black people, Black Americans. They may address immigration concerns, LGBTQ concerns, the concerns of all people of color, and many other forms of discrimination. These communities have civil rights, and their rights should be respected. But we must also be honest about what can happen when a mission becomes too broad. Yes, it's spread too thin. The distinction needs of Black Americans can become only one concern among many, and it's not working for us. That is not being one concern among many. Is not working. We're getting washed out. Our concerns are often placed at the back of the line. We are told wait. We are told that this is not the right time. We are told that concentrating specifically on Black American needs is too narrow and divisive, which doesn't make any sense. We are asked to support everyone else while our own unfinished struggles remain unresolved. After more than 400 years, Black Americans should not still be told to wait. It doesn't make any sense, for us to still have to wait. We should be the very first concern that is being resolved. Okay, 4. Mouth kind of watery. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm not a professional. This is just on my heart. Like I said, I know in order for the Lord to give me my heart desire, I must speak it. I have to give it life. And as I said, you are part of it. So I have to speak it to you, so you're also is what is going to make this work. It can't work without you, because it's for all of us. It's not just for Renee, even though it's my heart desire. It's for you too. Okay. Number 4. This is about mission protection, not hatred. This message is not about attacking immigrants, LGBTQ people, or any other population. We do not have to hate another group in order to love, organize, and protect our own. We have demonstrated our love to other peoples, throughout the century. So they can't possibly say that and be truthful. We can we can oppose injustice against everyone while still building an institution that is specifically accountable to Black Americans. We can cooperate without disappearing. We can form coalitions without surrendering our identity. We can support justice for others without placing our own struggles on permanent hold. Oh my goodness, I got the hotline. I'm sorry, you guys. I should have thought about turning this phone off. Coalitions should mean cooperation between organizations, groups. It should never require Black Americans to stop being an organized group. Now, let me say that again for the people in the back. Coalitions should mean cooperation between organized groups. It should not require Black Americans to stop being an organized group. And too often that is asked of us, especially with the Democratic Party. They don't, for some reason, they just don't like the fact that they don't want us to be one organized group for Black people. So somehow for some people that's offensive to them, and that doesn't make any sense. 5, representation is not the same as governing control. There can be room at the table without giving away ownership of our table. And we have so many people cosplaying us, trying to take over our history. They're claiming our history, the Pettus Bridge and civil rights. So they're claiming these things as their own, and they belong to Black Americans. Okay, Blackout Nation can welcome cooperation with African groups, African organizations, Caribbean organizations, immigration organizations, churches, corporations, universities, banks, foundations, nonprofits, unions, and other institutions. That's more than welcome. We've always been welcoming, and our arms continue to be open and welcoming. But cooperation should never mean surrendering control of the mission. Okay? They got to accept that. We're going to cooperate. We may cooperate with you, but we're not surrendering control of our mission. There should be a clear difference between having representation, participating as a partner, and controlling the organization. An organization may have a voice. A partner may contribute resources. A donor may provide funding, but no donor, no political party, outside institution, or powerful organization should be able to purchase, control, rewrite the founding purpose. Amen? Can I get an amen from you guys? The mission must remain protected. Okay, 6, the lesson of the freedmen. There's a very powerful lesson there. History teaches us that verbal promises and temporary acceptance are not enough. The descendants of freedmen connected to Native American tribes have had to fight long legal battles concerning citizenship, recognition, and membership rights. That history gives us an important lesson. Never assume that yesterday acceptance guarantees tomorrow's protection. Membership's rights must be written down. Representation must be written down. Voting rights must be written down. We're not going by word of mouth. We want it in writing. We want tangibles, and we have expectations. The founding mission must be written down. The rules of the leadership, removal, appeals, and governance must be written down. We should not build an institution based only on trust and good intentions. Well, you know what they say about good intentions, okay? We must build it with protections. 7, we need our own records. Black Americans need to maintain our own records. Other people should not be the only custodian of our history, identity, organizations, businesses, and economic information. Through registration, Blackout Nation can help create a living national record of Black American organizations, Black-owned businesses, churches, and communities, institutions, skilled professionals, trade workers, educators, local leaders, historic Black communities, Black Wall Street chapters, families and households committed to support the Black economic development. We need to know who we are. You know, so much of that information is lost. We have so much information is lost because it wasn't written down. We have built so many different towns and communities, and a lot of this information was lost. A lot of history was lost. And we need to keep track of our own history, because you see how hard we got to dig to find out the history of who we are and where we come from and what was done and how it get twisted, and someone else is being the narrator and the keeper of our history. That's our responsibility. Okay, we need to know what we have, what we need. We need to know what we are. We need to know what skills, businesses, resources, institutions already exist within our community. We cannot coordinate what we cannot identify. Okay, so this is a lot of, I know it's a lot of work, you know, so I know this is a big ask, but we can do it. We have all the skills, you know. There's some brainiacs out there. I know this is a piece of cake for you, and we need you to register with Blackout Nation, you know, so that we can get this done. You know, you guys, I have all the faith that, you know, it would take just a matter of if not a month or could probably less, with the skills and the talents that we have in the Black community. You know, we just have to tap into it. We have to get the word out there so the right people to come forth who has the same heart that we have, and it'll be done. You know, this wasn't spoken to me and to others who are interested in this for it to fade away. You know, it was spoken to our ancestors, and the word is still traveling to us. So this is something that is going to be accomplished, you know. So I'm hoping that it's accomplished in my time. You know, I would love to see that. I never thought that I would see a Black president, but I did, you know. So this is the next thing that I mean, if I could see this accomplished, I would be the happiest woman in the whole world. Okay, number 8, we need a community space of our own. Blackout Nation should also be a place where we can come together as a community and talk amongst ourselves. Too often, our planning, disagreements, strategies, business ideals, and developing projects are discussed openly on public social media platforms where everyone can observe them. There are conversations that should be public, especially when we are educating people, promoting businesses, recruiting members, and building partnerships. But every conversation does not need to be public. Every ideal does not need to be announced before it has been developed. Every disagreement does not need to become entertainment for people outside the community. Every business strategy does not need to be shared with people who may copy it, interfere with it, or use it against us. Blackout Nation can provide a community-centered space where registered members can communicate, exchange ideas, identify problems, develop solutions, and organize projects together. This does not mean secrecy for wrongdoing or avoiding accountability. That's not what we're doing, you know. It means recognizing that healthy communications need both public space and internal space. This is back in the day, the church was our private space, and the world's much larger now. This is why we have to take it digital and create our private space with blackoutnation.com. .org. Families have private conversations. Business hold internal meetings. Political parties plan amongst their members. Government discussion strategies become making public announcements. Black Americans also need a place where we can think, plan, organize, and develop our institutions before presenting everything to the outside world. Within Blackout Nation, there could be a space for community discussion, business development and referrals, local chapter planning, economic strategy, emergency and safety information, professional networking, youth, elder, family and caregiving concerns, land, housing and property development, education training, and employment opportunities. Private organizations and for private organizations meetings. Disputes resolution and community problems. Some information can remain public, while sensitive planning and members' discussions can be limited to verified participants. The purpose is not to isolate ourselves from the world. The purpose is to give our community a secure home. We have been lacking that for so long, with, like I said, we used the church a long time ago. That's where we had our secure home. But now it's different. We got to be digital. We got to have our own digital space. We should be able to work with others without making outsiders the audience for every internal conversation. We should be able to develop our plans before announcing them. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We should be able to discuss our needs without constantly explaining, defending, or softening every statement for people who are not part of the internal discussion. I'm sick and tired of you gotta say it this way, or you're gonna offend this group, or you're gonna offend that group. We should be able to just discuss openly what we want without concerns of other people, because it's about our concerns and not, suiting it to the need of someone else. Blackout Nation can become a place where we gather, speak honestly, build trust, solve problems, and prepare together. We need public voices, but we also need a community room of our own. Okay, number 9. I hope this is touching your heart like it touched mine. My little eyeballs are tired, but I hope it really is touching your heart, because it's really touched mine. And I would normally not be speaking out like this, but for some reason I've been motivated to do that. And obviously I'm not the only one, so I'm so glad you're here. And as I said, I know my heart's desire will be fulfilled because you're part of it. Number 9, registration creates measurable output. One person choosing to support Black businesses is making a personal choice. It's making a personal decision. Thousands or millions of registered people coordinating their spending, investments, business relationships, advocacy, and community development becomes an economic force. Amen. Registration gives us the ability to measure participation. We need measurements is most definitely is so important. It allows us to communicate nationally. It allows us to organize chapters. It helps businesses connect with customers and with one another. It helps communities identify gaps. It helps us track economic progress. Without registration, we may have enthusiasm, but we do not have an organized national structure. Registration turns scattered individuals into a visible and measurable contingency. Yes, ma'am. Yes, it does. And 10, Blackout Nation must be bigger than personalities. Blackout Nation cannot alone excuse me, I'm sorry, you guys. Blackout Nation cannot belong to one founder, influencer, politician, church, donor, company, or organization. It must belong to the people. It must belong to Black Americans. That's the people, when it says people. No major donor should receive extra power simply because they contribute money. No political party should own or direct the movement. No organization should be allowed to enter and permanently take control. No leader should be above accountability. There must be written rules, elected leadership, financial transparency, conflict of interest protection, complaint procedures, appeals, and safeguards for community information. This is how we build something that can survive beyond the generations. Yes, speak, speak, speak. 11. Why are we building our own? We have spent generations helping to build other institutions. We have marched for other people. We have voted for other people. We have fought for other people. We have helped widen the door of opportunity for almost everyone. But Black Americans still face major concerns involving wealth, land, housing, employment, business ownership, education, safety, political accountability, and historical repair. We cannot continue waiting for institutions with broader agendas to make our unfinished needs their higher priority. That does not mean we stop working with others. It means we finally build something that remains responsible to us. Did y'all hear that? Do y'all need to repeat that again? It means we finally build something that remains responsible to us. Blackout Nation should provide a permanent national home where Black Americans' concerns cannot continually be postponed, diluted, or pushed aside. Do y'all hear me? Do y'all hear me? Okay. Number 12, the new Black Wall Street vision. The vision is not just one Black Wall Street in one city. The goal is to build connected Black Wall Streets all across America. Each city and state can organize locally while following a shared national charter. That means common standards, common business certifications, common protections, common goals, a shared economic scorecard, a national communication system, and one common table through Blackout Nation. Local communities would still make local decisions, but you would not have to start from scratch or work in isolation. We would be locally active and nationally connected. Okay, 13. What registration mean? Registration with Blackout Nation means you are helping us build the structure. It means you want to be counted. It means you want to receive information. It means you want to connect with Black businesses and organizations. It means you want to participate in building safe and economically stable Black communities. It means you believe Black Americans deserve an institution that cannot easily forget us, redefine us, or remove us from our agenda. Registration is the first step towards organization. Organization is the first step towards coordinated power. And that's what we need right now. All the other groups, they have their power coordinated, so that's why they're passing us by. They all work in their own groups, dealing with their financial security and their political power. We have to do the same, or we're just going to get left behind. We already been put out of our house. Like, this is the way I see it, family. With the advent of the colonizers, we were put out of our house. Then some of us was brought over here on slave ships, and then through the advent of the what they call them, the 5 civilized tribes, again, we were betrayed, and and also and then dumped and left on the side, and we can't go for that anymore. We can't go for the okie doke anymore. We it's about time that we learn. Okay, enough of the okie doke. Okay, and to close, family, I need you to go to www.blackoutnation.org and register. Go there and register. Register your household, register your business, register your organization, register your church or your community group. Share the website with others. We are building a national common table where Black Americans, organizations, businesses, leaders, families, and communities can find one another and work together. We are not only building our own table, we are building our own meeting place, a space where we can talk, plan, develop, and protect our communities. Work together. We welcome cooperation, but we will not protect our mission. We welcome representation, but we will protect governing control. We will work with others, but we will not disappear inside someone else's agenda. After 400 years, we are not asking to move ahead. We are asking to move ahead of someone else. We are asking that Black Americans will no longer agree to be placed last. We are not waiting to be given another seat. We are building our own table, our own meeting place, and our own national structure. What you think, guys? I think it's great. Let Blackout Nation know, and also let me know if you have any ideas. You know how to get in contact with me, and please register. Like I said, there is a structure. This isn't just my heart's desire. Our ancestors wanted to do this. This is being updated. And I love you guys, and I look forward to all your help. Bye-bye.